Good morning and welcome to another game of pool play at the Australian 2025 Ultimate Championships. We have Sublime out of WA versus Mammoth out of Queensland. My name's Andy Moroney and I am joined this morning by Simon Talbot. Simon, welcome. Got a great game in store.
Fantastic game coming up here. We've got Sublime out of Perth playing in the dark jerseys today versus Mammoth out of Brisbane in the white jerseys. So, Mammoth, they've come off just a heartbreaking loss mere minutes ago. They finished their game against Fishwick United out of Canberra with a sudden death loss. They've had to back up with around about 8 or 9 minute break for a game here. Still chasing their first win for the week for their weekend.
Yeah, always tough these games and these tournaments. There's a bit of a war of attrition, Simon. When you are chasing your first victory, the main challenge, as you know from a coaching perspective, really just staying positive and optimistic and maintaining that energy.
We know that Sublime come up against Ellipsis just before as well. We don't have the official result yet, but I'm happy to call that. That was probably a loss. Yep. So Sublime to start offense. Running with a horizontal stack.
Does look like a junk from Mammoth.
Abby Yeaman. Or drop. Not moving with any sort of great rush or intensity here. Sublime happy to work the defense around.
It looks like Mammoth have collapsed into a match.
30 metres from the end zone. Schmidt now about 8 metres out. Moving into red zone defense. Eamon getting busy at this point. And Elo will drop. Put in a bit of a shift that. Wore a nice little Hello Kitty backpack at the end there.
He did, didn't he? And looked around only to see his opponent with a hand of apology out, because it was interesting to see which way that would have gone. But keeping it civil, at least early on in the first point of this game.
Nice little tone setter those ones can be. So we saw Mammoth. They're going to be looking to sort of conserve a little energy early, so that's why they probably would have went that junk look early, Andrew.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. I mean, obviously when you play a transition zone where you go from marking a space to marking a player, often the most risky time is that transition between the zone and the match. That's where two players might go to one, or there might be open players out. They actually did that part really well. Yep. So they did collapse through, and you noticed that they actually probably had more defensive intensity in the match phase of that than they did at the zone.
They went with the silent transition too. Often you hear teams count the number of passes or something as a signal, and that could be a giveaway for the offense to go up. At some point they're about to switch, but they would have gone on a position. It would have been, we think maybe the brick mark, I reckon, is probably where they made the call. By then, we're going to be in match. So Sublime with the first offensive hold. Bennett Carpenter holding the disc up. Ready to pull. Pulling's going to be critical early, sort of winning that early field position. They've got an isolated cutter in the middle there. Early shot goes up. And Max Mariong barely followed.
Not sure what happened in the backfield from a defensive point of view, but that was not the first kind of D-point intensity you'd want to see from Sublime.
Not at all. So I think what might have happened there, Andrew, is they would have called matchups based on position, not on personnel. They would have said, you're going to mark cutters here. And you can see two barely trying to follow. I reckon that was a miscommunication. Who's covering who here? Max Mariung, route one cutting. There's no one between me and the end zone. My thrower's got that. Guess where I'm headed.
Yeah. And a nice throw as well.
The other results so far, Sublime went down to Fishwick United yesterday, 9-15, to Manly Mullets, 13-11. And then to Ellipsis earlier today. We're still trying to chase that result because that game would have only just finished before this one as well. Mabba setting the pull out. Going to get themselves good field position to start that if it stays in bounds. Sublime deep in their own end zone.
15-9 they went down against Ellipsis.
Wide drop. Puts a long shot up looking for Diaz. Well weighted, straight into his lap. Fakes to no one. Ryan Schmidt now. Alexa. Happy to hang on to it. Splits the gap through about three defenders, 2 cutters there, and found Chev Diaz at the end there.
Interesting throw from Alexa. Almost looked like if you're playing cricket, the slow ball coming out the back of the hand. It was a big wind-up, but not actually a lot on the throw, but it managed to evade both the Mammoth defenders. And you'd probably say, Simon, outside of that first goal, again using, I guess, footy parts, it's been pretty bruise-free. It's been pretty flowing. Not too much pressure on a lot of the throws. Certainly, Sublime's first D wasn't there, and like you say, that's a blown coverage that happens. But not too much pressure. Both offenses pretty much getting it their own way so far.
That's a lot of touch on that throw. That was
that's what I mean. It almost came out the back of their hand.
You'll get teams in how these kind of shootouts, they'll just feel each other out. Who's the shot takers? Who's the long cutters? Because these two teams haven't faced each other since last year.
Yep.
Sublime came over to March Madness in Melbourne to get a look at the eastern side teams. Mammoth haven't played anyone yet. They were due to go to Canberra Cup to get those reps in, but Cyclone Alfred put paid to that.
Yep.
Horizontal set here, almost a split stack kind of look from Mammoth. Kucharski.
For those wondering why you've seen a few junk looks, the wind's starting to creep up, Simon, and you'd probably say Mammoth slightly working up into it. So wind, a little bit of a factor. I expect that to become more.
Leask. Anderson. Kucharski happy to work the width at the moment of the field. Force Sublime to defend laterally, but they've got two tall fellas deep guarding that end zone. So over the top shots are not going to come. They're going to have to work probably through this zone at some point. At least keeps his toe in bounds. Starting to see a little bit more movement from the downfield players here. Cook getting involved. And there's the gap through the middle. Max Mariong finding space. Sublime holding this defense the entire way. And there we go. Huge layout block there from Kyle O. He saw that one coming a while ago, and there has been a foul call.
Bruce, I think we know what Kyle thinks of that, but he's going to ask his teammates to stay out of it. We do have the game advisors that might be able to provide a perspective. Simon, would you like to provide yours?
Looks clean to me. We are 50 metres away.
We're away, yeah. I think the discussion will be whether they had control.
Yeah, just whether Cook had that in his hands before O actually got fingertips on it. It's like, I think we're going to...
It looked like I had pretty good position.
Oh, sort of. Look, I think this is going to end up being contested, but...
Well, it will be really interesting, even though we won't be able to get an insight, to hear what the game advisor, what their perspective, because it was right there. Yeah. You know, they were right there. So it does look like it's predominantly being communicated by the players at the moment. That's where the chat is. Now we've asked for the advice, just as the 3 whistles goes.
And I mean, if we're looking at our second replay going,
yes,
it's too close to call.
Yeah, and we can slow it down.
Yep.
Rex and the team doing a fantastic job frame by frame. They don't have that benefit, and I think we are going to see...
Yep. Contest is probably the right outcome there. No one can be absolutely certain what happens, so the fairest thing to do is send it back to the thrower. So Nat Kucharski. About 3 metres from that front corner, and they'll heavily defend that front corner too, Sublime. Force them to go backwards, lateral, or over the top. I don't think over the top's going to work, so at least looking inboard.
This is better from Sublime.
Anderson, at least, winds up the hammer. I don't think that's a genuine look.
Generating some high counts now, though, Simon, so this is more positives from Sublime. I like it.
They've closed in at that front row. Anderson gets that, finds a gap through the middle, and Cook jumps it in. That was well played by Mammoth there. They were not going to really cut through or go over the top, so they had to work that front row around and open up some short space around the disc rather than try and go over the top or through the middle.
But what I like from Sublime, and in particular one of their leaders, if not their leader, Kylo, recognised that the team was probably a bit flat and put a big bid in. Yes, didn't get the D or it was a foul and went back, but really positive statement of intent from Kyle.
Real tone setter.
Yeah.
And don't mind that look from Sublime early on, because Mammoth on their first offensive look obviously had that shot and have shown their card going. Plan A is to go route one to the end zone. So putting on that zone look just to slow them down, force them to take options, and also gives them more of a look. And I like having the two deeps in that zone as well, the two long fellas out there. I think that was... I think Michael Vernon was one of those deep fellas, and it can be very discouraging when you look up and see two sort of 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" lads at the back there. You go, maybe not the speculative hammer, not when they're patrolling.
And a lot of support and feedback for Brucey, for Kylo on that D, so a lot of support. Keep it coming on the stream, thank you.
Alex O'Neill fielding the pull. Looks like Eamon's going to be one of the primary handlers, so Mammoth are forcing him out of that handler space. And Jackson Bocce wore a body there as he went up for that disc. Seth Brown, Zach Thomas there, who came in hot. He peeled off his player. Happy to accept the foul call.
Yep.
Clear contact there.
Yep.
But smart defense there. He knew that swing was coming up and had peeled off early. I think he did his best to avoid, but when Bocce sort of jumped back into him.
Yeah. Yeah, Jacko wasn't initiating the contact, but knew to put his body between the defender and the disc. You're not going to be able to get this unless you foul me.
Deacon. And great read by Perry there. With that clean intercept, Grimmin now trying to direct traffic, ends up having to throw a high stall count. Not a bad option to do that with Scott Perry on this near side. Perry looking to the middle of the end zone, does not want that front corner, but not many options willing.
Big dump, retreated a lot of ground. Nice throw.
Perry Grimmin working the disc on the move. And they end up just potting it into that front corner, but good downfield defense from Sublime. Shut down any cutter movement to take away any easy shots to the end zone.
Yeah.
Forcing the handlers to work laterally.
Yeah, exactly. Put some handler pressure on. You saw it probably work a little bit. They gave up best part of 10, 15 metres on one of those dumps, but the flow from Mammoth managed to get a break throw off to the front of the stack, which was a handler that just recycled. So nice patience from Mammoth's experienced handlers.
Grimmin having to reach for that one, but gave him momentum to keep flowing the disc to that high side as well. So two each. There's two offensive holds. We take a look at the Mammoth squad. So a couple of key players we've shown already. Lee and Grimmin, one of their captains. Max Murray-Young, key receiver. Alex Leask will be getting busy as well. Plenty of activity around the disc. He typically takes handler marker matchups, and so expect a bit of activity for him.
Yeah, and it is a team. Mammoth been around for a decade odd now. It is a team where you've seen quite a bit of turnover. I mean, Leask and things like that. You think a few years ago they were probably the mid-tier. Now they're really the leaders of the club. So they have had a lot of turnover, but positive to see them injecting youth.
Yeah. So it was the first break of the game, so Sublime need to consolidate their 0 point here. Alexa getting busy.
Nice.
Urging players cut towards him. Oh. Good heat on his tail. Wide drop. Much better flowing, quick offensive move from Sublime here. Now red zone. They're keeping lots of handlers out of the end zone. Now they're slowly transitioning to match Bocce. Very little pressure around the throwers. Mammoth happy to let backwards and lateral movement happen. And Alexa fires that one into the breadbasket. And Sublime put in their third. It's been a bit of a trend this weekend, Andrew, that there's very little pressure on the throwers around the end zone.
Quite containing.
Yeah, it's sort of containing movement, but if you give up lateral movement too easily, that kind of defeats the purpose a bit. As we see here, so...
Yeah, you can see all the marks have they're using their peripheral vision to try and watch the stack more than they are watching the disc.
Getting too busy, and I think just at some point you do need to just lock down on your...
Yeah, don't worry about everyone else.
Yeah.
So they stop the rot, stay in touch. It's only to break the difference. On paper, it's evens. Good
patience by Brian Schmidt there too. He held off his cut for as late as possible, but then when he saw Alexa start to get that advantage to the centre of the field, then attack that front cone, and he didn't sort of curve in, curve out, straight at the front cone. Yeah. Meant the throw could meet him there.
Yeah, I think it's... lost art's probably going too far, but I think it's something that's come out of the game a bit, is that, charging really aggressively hard at that front cone. They're overthinking it a bit. Putting foot race, you don't have to throw it, but at least it keeps the cutters engaged and you're preventing someone peeling off the front to get amongst that handler busyness.
Spielman unleashes, looking for Max Murray-Young, but this one might be fading. And that has gone out and never in.
No, I don't think it came back.
No.
They're pointing it about halfway from where the throw went.
Foul on the throw? No. He scored the turn. So that's going to come in.
3 metres too, yep.
So, yeah, probably 35-ish from goal.
Yep.
Just over halfway.
Yeah, probably not the shot.
Nah, it's trying to sort of throw down a corridor, throw from the sideline, aiming at the sideline. It's a tough throw. And any kind of deviance, especially over that distance of about 50 metres, things can go pretty wrong pretty quickly. Oh. Pick called, I believe. Offensive foul. So, maybe...
He's involved in everything early on, Simon.
Pretending that was a bit of a push-off. I was happy to say, look, that's... Maybe that's what happened. I don't know when that happened, but this is going to remain on that high side.
I mean, what Sublime can't... They can't control that call. What they can control, they've got 4 behind the disc.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's intentional, but if it's not, they need to clean it up quick.
It's not. Vernon's gone to set the stack.
Whoa.
And he stayed out of the way. That is a very speculative shot by Carpenter. A few bodies underneath it. And Spielman's come down with it.
If Cal's shot wasn't the shot, that one's definitely not the shot.
Anderson, Leask, winds up the background. Max Murray-Young is the target again. Overshot him. It's not a bad effort.
They're making the poor lad work at this point, aren't they? That's 2 deep cuts, and he's had enough on this second one. He says, right, I need a breather.
Can't keep making him hit the deck.
I was going to say, it's a nice bid.
Yeah. I hope Mammoth have a plan B on offense, because they've taken that shot 3 or 4 times now.
Got a hand to it as well.
Incredible effort. Sublime also making a sub that they're able to do, and typically a smart call. We've had a couple turns so far at this point. Why not get some fresh legs on?
Yeah. Another thing that I don't think teams do enough is it's a free change. It's a free sub. Unless you've got a really set kind of play or unit, it just never makes sense to me when players don't cycle through.
Especially if you've been playing offense. Get a handler on. Get another thrower on. Get a cutter on. You've got to get this break back. Carpenter. Alexa. Good quick movement. Another one's gone down.
Cal. Not known as the most physically resilient player. Cal throws his body around and sometimes comes off worse for wear.
Yeah. Not sure if we call what happened at the top of the screen there, whether he's just...
I think he's just gone over. Because you can see up to the left of screen, it's a 4-on-2 basically. Mammoth running a really aggressive poach set. You can see bottom here.
Yep.
They're allowing that, and this isn't great from Cal. You can see him not putting any weight on that. Actually saw something very similar in the last game. Brett Middleton, albeit off a Hugh Osborne backpack, went down, kind of hit the ground straight away, and you go, you don't like seeing that because you think you're probably not coming back this game, potentially longer. But Cal, no stranger to an injury, so you know that's he'll know how to wake his way.
Let's keep bringing it up, Andrew. It's always great.
Me and Cal go back. We're okay. Well, we've got a nice big zoom in of it here, so
sure. Okay.
We hope he's okay. But you know, I was talking about Mammoth's, I guess, evolving kind of club structure. Cal definitely one of the more experienced players on there, so it will be interesting to see if he's going to be able, how they're going to be able to respond from, I guess, a leadership and structure perspective.
Yeah, a big key receiver, key thrower, both going off in the same point.
And a wise head on D down back.
Oh, it's got a long shot on, looking for Matthew McKenzie.
Nice cut.
Very faking too. Force the marker to move. Can't let them settle at all. Sublime definitely crying out for an end zone play, but the cuts just aren't really forthcoming. Well covered by Mammoth at the moment, so lateral movements, their only option here. Vernon punches into the front corner, and Ben Bastian.
No, it is a goal. He was wide open, so I looked back for the pick, but it was just a couple of Mammoth defenders looking at one another. Blown coverage, I think, backfield. Yeah,
a bit too busy with the switching, I think, sometimes.
Yeah.
We've seen that from both teams now. They've both come off hard games this morning. And that kind of defense is obviously going to work well when you're awake and fresh. You've just had your morning coffee. But we're, you know, short of a short break. They've been on for 2.5 hours now. And, oh, there we go. The defender slipped over. So good solid cutting. It's
a front cone thing we were saying.
Yeah,
earlier.
good, and it's good shape of the cutting too. Rather than sort of curving around or going at a 45-degree angle, he's gone out and back. Did well to put his foot in. So 4-3, that's consolidating that hold for Sublime. But obviously we're going to have to see how the Mammoth offensive line respond with the loss of 2 personnel. Got Joel Cook, Alex Leask out there, and a couple of other looks. I wouldn't have been surprised to see Grimmond go on.
Yep.
But keeping him fresh for D, I think, might be the play. And Max Barry-Young's back out there. I think maybe just got a bit winded after that landing. Another zone look, zone-ish look. It's sort of 3-3-1, very flat across the middle. I think they're happy to give up the small ball movement in order to take away the big shots. Brown. Holds on to it for a while, Leask. They're about to transition here to a match, so this is where Mammoth should attack. Kucharski, Mariong. Not a lot of pressure around the throwers here at the moment. They took a long time to execute that transition. Joel Cook's head to the end zone.
What a beard.
Great beard, but had the sideline to contend with. I think maybe took his eye off the disc for half a second to check his feet and lost sight of the flight. O sent it straight, looking for Ben Bastian again. Catches it without much pressure. Immediately looks backwards, but sends the speculator up into the end zone. Bold throw there.
He's breathing in the big ones after a great point, but that man on screen, Kyle O, lifts the team once again. Only 8 points into this game, he's already made statements on the defensive end and on the offensive end. That's a full field huck. Could have probably run it in, but made sure of it.
Yeah.
But Kyle, that's excellent work.
Yeah, good ball. He could have taken another 2 steps. Thought, no, let's secure possession. And didn't mind that throw. It looked like he was just going for the easy dump, but sent it up into, I think, James Warwick. Pumped it in the end.
And I think when you do hypothetical starting sevens, best sevens. If you were to think about players you'd take, great players, great teammates, but great blokes, it's hard to think of a player you'd pick above Kylo.
Just he's ride or die at all times, isn't he? You know, whoever he's on there with, what he's going, you're getting 100%. 110% out of him.
Yeah, and that's why you've got a C next to his name, next to number 3 right there. He is their captain. Even if he didn't have it, he'd still be their spiritual leader. These boys would lie down in traffic for Kylo, I reckon, and I understand why.
I really like Michael Vernon as well. Big fella that uses it well. He doesn't just streak deep all the time. He gets involved around the desk and draws a lot of defensive attention. Radu Alexa is another player I really like. I remember coaching the Victorian under-22s 7 or 8 years ago. He was playing for WA at the time, and he just destroyed everyone. We had no defensive answer for him at all. Earned his way onto national beach team as well, coming up for World Beach Championships this year. So very solid throws and very quick off the mark. He only needs one step or 2 or 3 steps and he's open. So we don't necessarily see a lot of change in direction from him. He's just got that explosive speed that usually gets him open.
And an update on Cal Spielman. Unfortunately, I think his day is done. He's got the eye signs on a knee there, and getting an elevated. So our thoughts are with Cal for a speedy recovery. It'll now really, as we said before, Simon, be on Mammoth to see who steps up and takes a pretty big his place.
Yeah, set play there. Grimmon's gone deep. That throw is way too far. Set play there. I think it was Ben Cuthbert O'Meara was the false cut. He was set up as the isolated player, but not the real target. And I think we said Grimmon's probably going to be the one that's going to go deep, and Sublime are well aware of that and put enough pressure on that deep cut.
And I think this is a big moment in the context of this game, Simon. 5-4 versus 6-3. Sublime with a golden opportunity.
Vernon, big bladey put over the top. And that is a fantastic read and block there. I think they showed too much on that throw there and left it in the air for too long. Hunter.
Well done, Tommy Anderson, with the disc now.
Yeah.
Good D.
Been busy so far this game. Crossfield to Grimmond.
2 going.
Sublime all over that. Kucharski fills the underspace. Mariung. Happy just to grind the yards here, Mammoth. Sublime waiting for the long shots, but they're just not coming, so there's always plenty of space underneath.
And they're running a really flat mark, or at least up until now they have been, so it's interesting to see what Sublime are trying to take away from a marking perspective.
I think they'll try and hold them to that high side, force backhand throws. So a bit of contact in the cuts there. Might have been an offensive foul call. At least gone Bastion there. Acknowledging that it's not deliberate, but players do sort of put their hands up to sort of try and sort of hold that distance and end up inadvertently, subconsciously pushing off sometimes. So Cuthbert O'Meara getting busy. Lots of give-go movements. Kucharski.
Oh!
And he's popped that up too high. Bennett Carpenter saw that coming from a mile back and has run straight through and swatted that out with authority. Alexa. Streaked deep. And, look at that. He's come under and he's put his hands up. But Bastion has snuck deep again. And Bastion's getting very busy this game. He's been on the end of 3 long hucks. We saw streak deep.
Yep.
Draw 2 defensive players with him. If you haven't looked at this Carpenter, Carpenter just knew that was coming.
Yeah, did not go attempt even to mark.
Yep.
When I'm going to play as a downfield defender, and Grimm kind of noticed it straight away as well. And the OSU called, you can see.
Matthew McKenzie is the one to take the shots here. You'll watch drift under. There we go.
With the hands out like a big 747.
I think it was just a poor switch there. I think.
Yeah.
Great by McKenzie there to recognise, yes, my captain is there screaming at me to throw it to him, but He's drawn 2 defenders, and Bastion's out.
Yeah, and it was O's. You know, you talk about, we've spoken about his leadership with the disc and on D. It's also your leadership without the disc.
Yes.
The fact he made, firstly, that D cut, and secondly, a really intentful under created that space. But by geez, I'm glad it completed, because I would have given him an absolute gobful, and rightly so if it was a turn. There's
sometimes very clear body language for the cutters, but the arms go out going, mate, what are you doing? I'm right here.
We've all played with those players, and we know who they are, Dave Locker. If you bake them under, they're going to give you some feedback. The other thing I noticed, you know, you talked about that contact in the stack, and players sometimes playing with their arms out, not intentionally.
Yeah.
I understand from a viewing perspective that can make the game a bit stop and start, but I'd much rather see that discussion happen at the start of the game, because there are a lot of rules in Ultimate, and a lot of the time they're clear, and a lot of the time they rely on, I guess, mutual understanding between two players. So they're working out where that line is to go, okay, what's contact that maybe is okay, and where's something that I'm going to, hey, I'll call the foul now, but I'm going to call it now, not at 13 all.
Yes, it's just that early boundary setting the time of the game. Like we said, these teams haven't met each other and have had a lot of personnel change since they have, so it's again sort of relearning what's that, you know, where does everyone sit in terms of this. And that's one of the beauties of self-refereed sport, Andrew, is you get to set those boundaries yourself. Yeah. You get to decide what you're prepared to put up with and play through. Or if you play Ultimate specifically because it's a non-contact sport, you get to keep it that way. So Sublime with a couple of breaks up now. Offside call. So we had a few of these this weekend. We've got the game advisors on this field here, and they signal when a team is offside, but they don't decide for it. So the teams get to choose. Sometimes if a team is offside but the pool's not that great, you'll just play through it. But why not take the free 30-metre gain when it's available to you?
It's a pretty simple error not to make as well.
Yeah.
There's a line there. You just got to stay behind it.
It doesn't take much.
Pretty simple, fellas.
Bit of float on that one. Kyle.
Huge D from Kyle. Once again, putting Sublime on his back as he's done for the last 10-odd years.
Where's a bit of contact in the mark? Plays through it. Diaz. Plenty of free players on the high side. Taking his time there. And there we go. That's fair. Matthew McKenzie. You cannot let the throw hang in the air, Andrew. You cannot let it hang in the air. I like the lateral movement. I like them taking those shots. But not when a player like that is ready for it.
Yeah, and people look at Kyle, they look at his agility, and the fact he's not nuggety, but he's short. Don't let that fool you. The boy can get up, so hunted that probably 20, 30 metres away.
I think there was a teammate of his there, sort of thought, I'm going to bid at this too, but yeah. Saw Brucey coming in and thought, I'd best stay out of this.
Yeah, wise. So I want you to have a think as we progress through this game. I want you to have a think. Just from the open division for now, the best bloke starting 7. Okay, so if I think certainly has to be, you know, have to have playing ability, teammate ability, good spirit, but just a cracker to have around the games, around the club. I'm penciling Kyle in now. I'm putting Kyle in probably numero uno.
I was going to say, we're really picking 6, aren't we?
Yeah. And in the chat, if you're listening or watching, please feel free to submit some nominations. Kylo getting a stat line, an assist, a block, a turn. Starts catching a goal. He's got the quadruple single.
So they're isolating Joel Cook up the field now. But Sublime going with this junky look again. Mammoth took a bit too long to adjust. Their deeps have spread them very far backfield, so there's space in the middle if it can be found, but they'll transition to a match pretty soon, and Mammoth are all going to be out of position. Here we go, Anderson. Recognise the transition came under. Leask is streaking deep. Murray York coming under. Kachowski finds Leask. Much better offense from Mammoth then. That's the standard we should be seeing them play. Yeah,
much better flow. Low stall counts all the way. An interesting contrast, I think, between the two, because both teams playing transitions.
Yeah.
You called out early, Mammoth almost run a silent transition on theirs.
Yeah.
Sublime aren't that clever.
No.
They know they need everyone to shout, and it's very much an active side, and that's what we know from Sublime. Like, they're an energy team. Yes. They're not winning any Nobel Prizes, but there's a lot of energy, but you need to be able to communicate the transition of those defences.
Man, really enjoying the game that Nat Kachowski's playing. He's just motoring around. He's never standing still. He's just motoring around at sort of 50% pace, which then makes that increase to 100 not that great when he sees space. He's very responsive to what the defense is doing. He's not just going, I'm just going to do this cut now. He doesn't go in with the set plan. He's just going to be on the move, be in motion, react to what the D's giving him.
So can Mammoth use some of that energy from the hold, bring it across to the D line and put a little D run on 8-4 if they lose this point? Not unassailable, as we've seen a couple of times in this tournament so far, but any points that they can, any kind of gap they can bridge now, they'll appreciate that much more in the second half.
Eamon O'Neill getting involved. Alexa, he's got Scott Perry in his tail, decides not to bid on that one. Diaz right on the sideline, 25 from goal. Schmidt. And there we go. There's that other attack at that front cone. It's a bit old school, but I like it. I think it's their third goal now attacking that front cone. Terrific use of space there from Sublime as well as they take half with offense with the score 8-4. So they've really stamped their authority on the game so far, Andrew. Where's the path back here from Mammoth?
Yeah, I think they're actually starting to get some sniffs. We saw on that point even the proximity between the defenders and the disc is now a lot closer. At the start of the game, yeah, you kind of mentioned it, they were feeling each other out. Now I feel like they're starting to ramp up that intensity. I really like actually when Mammoth are in a match.
Yep.
And whilst they're playing the transition pretty well, it's not. I don't feel it's actually giving them anything. You know, they're just losing half the field. So I'd love to see some big Alex Leask pulls.
Yep. Just run down with a straight match.
And run down and try and get down there first, second pass.
So 7-4 is the score. It is half. So 8-4 is the score.
8-4. We got there eventually. Never doubt the ULTI.TV scorekeepers. We're all over it.
I think it's the trap of a self-refereed sport sometimes, Andrew, is you can be so laser focused on what's happening, especially in an intense game, that you forget all other externalities, including the scoreboard.
I think you're, as usual, Simon, you're being increasingly kind. We know Sublime ain't launching any rockets, mate. So, yeah, counting to 8, a bit difficult for them, and they probably haven't taken half yet this tournament. So this is a new experience for them.
Righto. So as the players take a half a break, we're going to take a break as well. We'll be back with the second half shortly. Back at second half action here. As we take a look at the standings so far after day one of Pool A. Andrew, talk us through it.
Yeah, so a few things going to plan and probably a few surprises as well. You see Fishwick there carrying a 2-zip line. That's a really successful day for them. Ellipsis you expect to be there. And then Jugger, Manly, who've just actually played in that morning bracket. Melbourne Juggernaut getting up 15-13 over Manly. So Jugger now a 2-1, Manly a 1-2. So, yeah, probably seeing a few surprises. But if I was Fishwick, I'd be really, really happy.
Yeah. They carried in a win against Mammoth this morning, so they're 3-0 at the moment. So we get the second half underway. Simon Talbot here with Andrew Moroney for ULTI.TV. Mammoth to start on offense second half. Bit of a shakier throw there, but Leask. Brown. Mariung. Couple of options heading deep. Bit of a loopy throw, but just inside the end zone. Ben Cuthbert O'Meara. And Mammoth strike first.
I love the intent of that cut.
Yeah.
Some people go, that's a foot race cut because it was just one direction. But you watch the intent. You can often tell from a cutter when their head goes down, when they're putting their head, like, you know, it's a cliche, but it's actually literally when they put their head down. You can see he's just waiting, middle of screen. There was actually a little jab step in there. Really good first 3 steps. That gave the thrower enough confidence that there's enough separation there. Nice throw, but the cut, exceptional.
Probably a head check at the wrong time there by the defender too. Just to look back at the disc to check in, but not at the time when you're the deepest cutter. All attention should be on what you're doing.
Perfect start if you're Mammoth. 8-5, they maintain a little bit of contact. Last thing you want to do coming out of half when you're down is drop a break. So the O unit did their thing. Now, D, it's over to you. Let's see if they can put a little run on and get things interesting, Simon.
Yeah. I had a little listen to each group at halftime. Early in the half, Mammoth, they were very flat, very quiet, but we're getting the food and getting the snacks and getting the energy back up. Sublime, a little bit more animated. It's obviously a lot easier when you're up to keep the mood up. Flat direct pull. This is going to be easy yards for Sublime, but the cutters taking their time set up. They've got 2 isolated out wide with 3 in the middle. Wide drop. Oche. Lots of cuts motoring around. A few options started to head deep now. Wide drop taking his time.
See, I like this from Mammoth. They look just, there's more pressure. Sublime look less comfortable in this match.
Eamon took his eyes off it briefly to look upfield. Didn't secure the disc.
And Burrows right on his hammer was within a step, caused a little bit of that Phantom D action.
Zach Yong, Grimmond, Perry. All cuts are happening laterally at the moment, nothing towards the throwers. They're a bit too deep at the moment, so Perry and Grimmond happy to work a couple of 1-2s. Yong. Not rushed, not in a hurry. Puts a loopy throw up, looking for Liam Grimmond. Bocce in there.
Belted him.
Big bit of biff there.
He's saying it's. I reckon I know exactly what Grimmond's saying. He's going, I know it was out the back. It'll be a turn, but you absolutely smacked me.
Do not do that again.
Yeah.
Grimmond's also taking the injuries up here as the contact.
I mean, you don't get two more different kinds of players. Grimmond, tall, gangly. Bocce, small, kind of nuggety.
Yeah.
Inside mid, you'd call him if it was AFL. And for a moment there, he was playing AFL. So, yeah, it all worked out.
So Sublime will get a second look at offense here, and they're probably lucky to get that too after that first turnover.
Yeah. But really positive signs from if you're Mammoth.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying this. And they will stay in that match, which, I think is the right call.
Yep, they've isolated one cutter here, Radu Alexa, with Kyle Hunter. Kyle Hunter with the matchup on him. Diaz watching the disc into his hands there. Wad drop. Alexa got that separation, but Scott Perry read that beautifully out of the thrower's hand.
They should have players out. Two Sublime players have gone deep. They do.
Yep, 3 players everywhere here. Mammoth have worked that beautifully down the field, and Wardrop's come in.
There's going to be a call.
Yep. Kevin Melo.
He's trying to VAR it. That's not how it works, champ.
Velo certainly had that. Wardrop had.
Oh, the action replay.
Let's have a look. Definitely open and what's in there? There's contact, I think, after the. Yeah, I think probably the right outcome here. So Melo's withdrawn the call.
But outside of the call, I just don't know that option didn't need to go. That was almost a 3-on-1.
Yeah,
definitely a 2-on-1.
Definitely had those end zone eyes. Thought we don't want it. We've got to score this quickly. We've got to get it in there.
And that's their second red zone turn this point. So the lack of composure is something that's probably the only thing they need to fix right now. They're getting the Ds. Their O has recovered to hold. Talk to the defensive O-line. Get a bit of composure back.
Alexa well covered there. Bocce comes in for the bailout with Perry on his tail.
Good mark.
Good marking, and Schmidt. Definitely some fingers on that from Ben Deacon, from the Mammoth defender. So strip called. Ball's accepted. Good flight there from Diaz to get 2 hands on it. Well drop. Loves to wind up that backhand just to signal some intent to the defense. Schmidt motoring around. Alexa. He's got a full end zone to look at. Puts a high floaty throw up. He's made that very difficult for his teammate. Even more difficult with the end zone line B there. Too far for O'Neill. And that's comfortably cleaned up by Daniel Burrows for Mammoth. Lots of cuts heading away. Perry versus Schmidt. Bocce's going to get involved too, but Perry's going to go fly, and he's gone up. He's no call there. Difficult with one behind, one in front.
Bocce playing the crumbing forward, just waiting down. Took his time.
You do not really get to change your path there. Sublime already worked it after halfway. Wydrop's gone, a low floater shot. And another block there from Daniel Burrows. Definitely got the ascendancy of that matchup there.
A bit of looseness coming from both teams in terms of their throwing. Take nothing away from the great Ds. That one there, as you call, Burrows putting his body and had a one-time shot at it. Knew he had one chance to leave his feet. But you'd say that, the throwing's just getting a little bit loose, certainly looser than the first half.
The Sublime cutters are starting too deep, so they can't throw into space. They're having to throw directly, and that one's gone way too wide. Osborne having to go full stretch.
I wonder if Fatigue's playing a role now.
Fatigue and impatience, I think. Bit of a combo. Alexa. So the cars are all too deep in the end zone. The shot's going to have to be direct. Schmidt. There we go. Front cone. Diaz.
Front cone action,
well covered. Or drop.
Front cone.
Alexa. Front cone. War of attrition that point. It was really about territory and where the Ds happened. A lot of the Ds were happening out the back because of those shots, but then the short field turnover, that just left them exposed.
Yeah, neither team putting on what you call a red zone clinic, but eventually it was Sublime who gained a bit of composure with a bit of luck and a nice bit of cleaning up off the bootlaces.
Good adjustment by the mark there to know that they're going to take that front cone shot. So just come around and it did leave him exposed on the backhand break. And I heard Sublime talking about that at halftime in their huddle. They had two things they wanted to focus on this second half. One was not block hunting on the mark. Sometimes it can be real tempting to jump around to the open side and try to get a hand on it, but it leaves you exposed on the break side.
Yeah, it's just a kind of like a game of chess. It's a move and a counter move. Okay, they took that one away, but then to Sublime's credit went, okay, the lane's now been closed off. I'm going to move it through the break side. So well done for Sublime to, after a bit of a frantic series of turns, they stabilise and maintain a 9-5 advantage.
Look, for the fans, it's fun ultimate to watch, Andrew. For the coaches and the players, probably not as fun to watch from the sideline, but we are enjoying this game.
So let's see what Mammoth can do. It feels closer than a 5-9, but they need to put in the work to make sure that that's reflected on the scoreboard. It'll be Leask.
Kucharski. Eyes off Cook. Few cuts heading away, but now they're coming in. Mariong securing possession. Everyone's very close. Seth Brown.
Sublime are all over him downfield. Really good coverage, back a stack.
Puts the shot, look up for Cuthbert O'Meara. Carpenter's there, but he hasn't got the right position. Cuthbert O'Meara got up. And doesn't he want everyone to know about it?
Yeah, he's happy, and why wouldn't he be? Deering had the front spot, went up, but Cuthbert had almost like a bit of double jump action. He got up and then hung up there, so that was a really nice grab taken at the top of his reach.
Bit of a statement play by that one, Mammoth. Wanted Sublime know that, yes, while your defensive coverage is good for about 80% of it, we're attacking you in that last 20%. We are not going to take this lying down.
Yeah, I like it.
So we're 53 minutes in on the clock and we're 15 points in, so not the quickest scoring of games. We have seen a few points go back and forth. I feel like we're going to be going the distance for this one.
I agree. Yeah, you're not, the first couple of points, there were a couple of breaks, but mostly holds. Now we're seeing like predominantly dirty holds. We're not really seeing that one throw offense. Now,
a bit of a take yesterday, Andrew, for those who missed me yapping on yesterday.
Yep.
The grass here is very, very soft underfoot. It's like running on a gym mat. And I think it's actually going to take a lot of gas out of players who have probably been training on firmer surfaces all season. So I think we're going to see a lot of overthrows, turnovers.
This is the difference between you and me. Greenie and I in our last game, I described it as like a 3 heavy if you were at the ponies. It's a heavy track, but I like yours is a far more kind of highbrow version of saying that.
Well, drop. One's up the backhand. Alexa was just left unguarded. Mammoth just did not have the matchup sorted there.
Yeah, there was some kind of breakdown.
I think what they might be doing, Andrew, is a scud-based defense instead of match. So I think we mentioned it earlier, they're calling positions-based. So I'm going to take cutters, I'm going to take handlers. But it requires a communication on the rundown. Yeah. So there you go, bottom of the screen. Alexa's just kind of drifting. Grimmett had eyes on him, but just kept checking back at the desk too long.
Yeah, that leg rope's just way too wide. I mean, if you watch Grimmett, he looks straight back, pretty keen to give feedback in any direction, anyone who'd hear it. But I think it's probably just the mirror that he needs to look at, because I get what he was doing, but that's, when you talk about the idea of a leg, like how much separation you're giving to a player, it's probably double what it should have been there.
If you're going to have that kind of separation deep, you need more pressure around the thrower.
Yeah.
And that's just not there. So both teams would want to be really tying up that pressure around the thrower. I think the long shots and the sort of loopy shots are coming out really easily. Mostly on the open side, which is not too bad, but maybe a flatter mark might work here. Maybe up until about halfway at least. Stop those long shots going off early as Kucharski happy to take the free 20 metres as that disc lands out of bounds. So defers to Lease to pick it up and bring it into play. Sublime, the 3-3-1.
Looks junky, yep.
They are keeping their eyes on their players, so it is, I think, we'll transition the match pretty quickly. Carpenter just caught napping there. Mariong, Brown. Cuthbert O'Meara winning a lot of attention. Kucharski puts it up over the top. Mariong, that was not a great option, and Vernon's gone straight into it. No call, no call. Happy to pause and take a moment to consider it, but no call made at the end. Michael Vernon.
I think that was probably right.
To restart. Carpenter up the line. Carpenter's got, going deep. That show's got shots going up. He's got the advantage. Checks to see where he is. He's got 3-on-1 to beat. He goes up early. And Leska's gone into the back of him, but I was happy to wear that because it was sailed over his head anyway. He had to go early because he had 3 defenders hot on his tail. Good stuff by Lease there. I think he might have got a fingertip to that one.
He'll claim it if he didn't.
Did it well without just barreling into O as well.
Yeah.
Got one position, went up vertically.
Yeah, they kept it as clean as they could.
Yeah.
Like you say, O noticed there was contact, but the disc had already gone past him.
Brown, Kucharski, happy to work it laterally, makes Sublime do the running. Leask. He's got Murray Young on this low side. Cook.
Just a tiny bit behind.
Spent it before he bought it. Oh, wants to move quickly. But this is good. Better response on D from Mammoth.
They've recovered really well.
Not much coming towards him.
Stacked really deep again, Simon. You said that earlier. Some feedback from the handlers.
Carpenter. They're happy to open up space for just one cutter each time here. Bastion. Too many looks on the open side. Oh. Looking for Carpenter.
Great cut.
Looking for the corner. Will they attack the front corner this time? They will. That's James Warwick. I think his second goal for the game. And that one has worn Mammoth down. Yeah,
that one stings.
And I think, I've been saying this so far this weekend, Andrew, at the national championship level, once the margin's out to 5, you can probably wrap it up.
Yeah, I think that's true of most teams, not all teams. We're not going to talk about the team that we were both thinking of. Yeah, I mean, it just we're in the top flight of this competition. You've got the a dozen of the best teams in the country playing here. They're drilled well enough that a 5-goal lead is really something that most of them don't let slip.
Yeah. It's not impossible. It's not undoable, but the odds definitely tip against you once that margin's out to 5, especially when all Sublime need here is just 4 offensive holds.
Yeah, and the only point I'd make to that is we've seen a couple of times an 8-4 scoreline.
Yeah.
So from half, that trailing by 4, that's assailable.
Yes.
But I think once it gets into 5, as you say, life just gets that little bit harder.
The trap you don't want to fall into as Sublime is saying, hey, we're close to closing this one out. Let's do something new. Just keep doing what you're doing. You've scored 11 goals.
Yep. Yeah, until Mammoth forced you to go to a plan B, stick with your one wood.
So Mammoth offense this time.
Here we go, boys.
Cook meets it early, gets it moving. Move it up to the brick mark before defence is locked on. Grimmin, Brown. Back to Grimmin. Happy to take the yards they're given here, Mammoth. Grimmin. Least. He's got some over-the-top shots. They don't want to be shooting in the end zone. Probably maybe another forward pass from here. Cuthbert O'Meara. Now they'll be looking end zone wise. Least. Grimmin. Grimmin with... that can't have been a fake. No way.
Not sure what it was.
Yeah. Signals intent to go over the top, and everyone knows he'll do that, and there has been a call.
So I think Grimmon's called a contact, but there was... I love when Brucey finds it funny. Because he's there to have a laugh, but...
Yeah. So I wonder if there was an offensive foul. That's what's got me wondering. He's gone in.
I think he's called a contact.
Contested contact.
Yeah. Grimman is one of those players that will kind of really wield the disc around a bit more, which does make... So it'll be accepted.
Yep. Lots of players close in here. Grimman will want at least one of these handles to clear out, probably Leask as he heads around the back. Free cutter there. Anderson getting busy.
It's playing well.
Just miscommunicated. Too busy in the end zone. I think we said both teams have been doing that. They're a bit too busy on defense in the end zone, and not. You've just got to go back to basics sometimes when you're defending about 5 metres of territory.
Yeah.
You've just got to sit back, guard your defender, guard the open side, trust your marker's got the break side covered. Yeah. Never a good sign when 3 defenders are pointing, going, whose guy is that? The old deflecting the blame.
Yeah. If I point first, they won't notice it's me.
So 11-7 now. Offensive hold for Mammoth, but Sublime to receive this one. So I think it would take, I don't think even one break would make this game spicy. I think we'd need a couple in a row for Sublime to start to get worried.
Yeah, or one big D. One big break. If it's a Grimman getting Horro, something like that.
So after this, for their final pool game, the winner of this game, so Sublime go on to play Melbourne Juggernaut, which they could possibly force a 3-way tie to make a quarter final.
Wow.
Mammoth, same deal against Manly. So
that's going to be great.
This is already a virtual knockout game, Andrew. Diaz. Schmidt. Well, drop. They're really working the undercuts here. O'Neill coming to meet the disc. Puts it away, and the huge layout pin from Gaben Amon.
And the best sign for me, being Sublime, that's probably their best offensive flow. Now, they didn't dump and swing it as some teams might, but some teams just like working that lane, working that this kind of envelope of the field, all of it on our close sideline. You see, that first one was an under, another under. Typically, you'd like to see a team probably dump and swing it there, but if they're backing their players one in, nice little bit of Hollywood action. Not sure that was required, but it looks good on the stream. He can show his mum and his girlfriend and whoever. But it works.
And early defense has set that up, Andrew. When cutters are streaking deep and they've been shooting it all day, the defenders are following. They're not just going to go, I'm just going to wait here and see what happens.
Yeah, they've got to be accountable.
They're following, and then that allows them to attack the underspace. They really played with about 1.5 meters of field width there, though. Like, the undercuts were coming. They were starting from, like, almost at the high side, some of the cuts. But the angle of the cut, I think it will need improvement if they're going to make bracket play.
Yeah, totally. It's that plan B. What happens when that first cut's shut down? Yeah. You hope and expect it's a pretty quick dump and swing.
Yeah. So 12-7. Mammoth just need to keep, at a minimum, consolidate their O points. Leask. He's put that one up looking for Max Murray-Young. He's thrown that to an advantage. What a shot. And there we go.
Shot of the day.
Yep.
That's Alex Leask, understanding the moment, understanding the leadership that's required.
Yep.
Simon, you talk about big breaks, but at this point, holds are big too.
Yes.
So I like seeing that from Alex, taking the responsibility from the team and going, cool, I'm going to have a really important long shot. But as you say, it was to the advantage of his receiver the whole way.
Yeah, it's points like this where you can go, we've got to hold the offense, so let's play conservative, let's play structured. But we've seen a couple of throws like that go early in the game. Why not back him in? So 12-8 now. Mammoth coach Zach Chodos, if he's not calling exactly what he wants here on defence, then... So we can see Scott Perry out there. We can see Liam Grimmond out there. So I think they've identified this is a key point. If they can get a break here, just lifts the pressure on Sublime just a bit, just enough.
And speaking of energy and pressure, I think we noticed a big point over in the Fishwick game. Saw a sea of orange storm the field.
Yeah, the mics are picking up the energy from that field. And Neil Amon. Diaz has gone deep. Diaz just pointed and went. That was just way too easy. Way too easy.
Well, you spoke about if you're Zach Chodos,
yeah.
And if you're Zach Chodos, you're probably launching your clipboard at this point.
Yeah.
That is the very last thing. You can't always help getting scored on, but that's just effort and communication off the front. I think you called it out earlier. Sounds like they're running down in a scud where, rather than taking a player, they'll take positions. We've seen them get cooked by that at least twice. I reckon that's the third time. Yep. Guys, switch it. You can't afford to give up cheap points when Sublime only need 2 more.
Yep.
Great throw. Let's not take away, by the way, from the throw.
You just see Diaz here. He's just on the screen. He points. He points.
Yep.
You don't see points at this level. But he's backed himself, just gone, launch it out there. I'll take care of the rest.
And it was Yong, and he'll be better for it, right?
Yeah.
It's this team, as we've said, they're a younger team. They're here to learn and to develop. But there was what you call a wrong turn. So he turned to look at the disc and completely lost his defender, who snuck off and was out the back. So they'll be better for it. But it's just unfortunate that at a pretty high pressure moment in the game that error creeps out.
A little bit of complacency, I think. I reckon they thought they're not going to shoot now. They'll try and work it a bit. So Carpenter with the pull. I can see offside signals, but no one will take it. They're happy just to take defensive look. Leask.
What's your theory on that? Would you take it every time or not worth it?
Depends where the pull's going to land.
Yeah.
If it's a high floaty pull, why not take it 20 yards? But if you can get moving and keep defense on the heels, just attack it. Anderson, Leask. Cuthbert O'Meara, Sublime starting to look up. They'll transition pretty shortly, I think. Leask. Not a lot happening downfield. Vernon sitting out the back off the right of screen, just patrolling that end zone space, just daring them to put one up. So that's why they're not as trigger happy at the moment. Cuthbert O'Meara getting a lot of defensive attention in the middle. They're getting some easy yards in these dump swings. Just keep doing this. There we go. There's a breakthrough. Max Marion. Kuchowski looking to get it back. Cook. Leask. Anderson. So back to that dump swing. Not getting impatient after they've broken through. Happy to go back to what was working.
Yeah, I think
Round.
Sublime look a bit out of sorts here. They are holding it.
They want to tighten it up though. Anderson. They're really defending the end zone. They're happy to give up 2 or 3 metre passes, so long as they're guarding that front line of the end zone, daring them to go over the top. And Ben Cuthbert O'Meara had the step on the defender there, attack the front cone. They've managed to waltz that one in. Good patient offense from Mammoth. They're not afraid to take the shots, but they can also switch into the grind mode exactly when they need to.
Yeah, and I spoke positively about Sublime's good O the previous point, and how that was probably the best we've seen. The real adjustment there, in the first half, we were seeing Mammoth still try and force and shoot to like 2-on-1s in the end zone. As you identified, the end zone was kind of closed. But that then meant, okay, guys, we can bounce it around, use the width between the handlers a bit, wait for that gap to open up.
Cuthbert O'Meara, he was getting a lot of attention in the middle because they knew that he was a threat going around. So once they got to about halfway, he just took a back seat and just sort of waited for the attack. Kept the defense close in him on the middle, opened up the flanks, and then just meant he could, again, just react to what the defense was giving him rather than try and assert his own plan. So 13-9 the score. Sublime to receive on this point. Roller pull, trying to win a field position, but Diaz all over it. Stops it down. Eamon. Again, these loose matchups, they're just killing him. Alexa's got a free shot here. No count. Takes his time.
At least they sorted the downfield out though, Simon.
Yeah. Eamon. Alexa, Diaz. Looking for one drop in the middle, but he's well covered there by Elijah Putrov.
Gets the turn. Nice D. Great mark too.
Yep. Tried to just do too much around the disc. Got a little impatient there, did Sublime. Honey. Pick it up. Grimmon charges up the line.
Great throw.
Fantastic throw out to Perry. Watch you looking upfield. Wants to see what Perry's looking at. Diaz goes for it. Had to get out.
What a D.
It was a tight throw.
And he's off. And Jacko going to give the people what they want. Highlight reel. Diaz. He's got it. Double happiness.
Fantastic point there by Chev Diaz.
Oh, and he's got the archer's bow. The celebration's as good as the D and as good as the cut. He's got the bookends up, double happiness. We are not worthy.
The first two infield looks for Scott Berry were closed off there, so Diaz knew that it was going to come across. He's still back, and then just waited. He baited that perfectly. Just sat back on the hip, waited for the throw, and then Bocce was like, no,
give the people
keep going, stun. And because he had no pressure on the mark, he could just throw on the side. Went the backhand just to throw to the advantage of the cutter. Look at the form on that. Just got low, launched out, clean hit. A little fist pump there too. Don't mind that.
He points, yeah. He's got a bit of swag about him. Got the backwards hat, rocking some gold chains.
Don't mind that.
As you say, the layout form was good.
Maybe he can be in a good Blake 7 was.
Oh, yeah. Maybe a spot for a rookie.
So 14-9. Dirty hold there. So Mammoth need to keep the scoreboard ticking over, but Sublime will be hungry on this one. They're hunting the win, hunting their first win.
Yeah, if you're the Mammoth O-line, and yes, okay, they'll probably crunch lines. You'll see some of these players. But on paper, this is Mammoth's last O-line. It'll be the D that gets it done from here. So
absorb the energy. Let them come to you. Dump swing a bit. So that you're looking, they're hunting for everything. So just wear them out a bit with some simple dump swings, Leask.
Sublime want to get in on this Diaz action, though. They want that. There are blocks out there.
Warwick
they
flying.
want them.
Anderson. Keep working a bit more. The options will open up. Mariong, there we go. Through the middle now. Huge layout intercept by Ben Bastion.
Got the run through. Managed to hold on to it as well, so they're straight back into their O.
Only a few minutes to close out now. Ben Carpenter, 15 from goal. Warwick wants to move it back to the middle. He's got Carpenter one out.
Nice cut.
Carpenter finds O. Bastion's there for the swing. And Cuthbert O'Meara.
Call.
Got off his feet, I think. Might have copped a cleat to the foot there from Sam Robbins.
Yep.
He's got to play through it. So this will remain with Kyle O. He's probably about 8 metres from goal, but he's got both sides of the end zone to look at here. Ben Bastion there on the left. He needs to get out of that space as soon as possible. Get Leask out of there because you can't afford to have Leask hanging around looking for that poach block. Especially when you got your dump reset on the other side of you. Robin saying, I'm not going to cut here, I'm just going to clear out. So Carpenter now. Vernon charging towards him. Mariung makes him earn it. Bit of desperation on the defense here. Don't mind that. Nearly copped that one. They've pushed him back 20 metres, and Mariung might have, I think, his finger.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, we don't need to zoom in on this one, I don't think.
Nope.
It was on one of the bids, as you called it, Simon. 2 layout bids on the mark in a row. And I think on one of them he's jarred the finger or maybe a little bit worse, but anyway.
Desperation like that.
Exactly.
It's either get the block or the game's over.
You're done.
You have to go for it. Rimmond, not a bad sub to come on.
And Sublime doing the right thing, playing the numbers game, Simon. They run a free sub.
Alexa is the one coming on. I'm calling it now. Alexa, front corner, top of field. Might not be on the... Might be a couple of throws before it happens, but that will be the outcome, I think. Vernon very excited to clear out of that space now that he's got Gribbon marking him.
Yep. And the stack pretty deep. Nice cut.
Robbins attacking that cone, wants to hit the break side. Alexa, he's got Carpenter going high, but draws plenty of attention. Everyone pointing to the open side. God, doubles back. Ben the Carpenter attacking the cone. And Sublime got their first win for the Australian Ultimate Championships of 2025. How about that play from Kyle Lowe? He had everyone on his team pointing. Let's hit the high side. Let's hit the high side. Mammoth all followed, and O kept the centre of gravity low, doubled back, counter punch.
There's a reason that they call him Carlo the Magician, because there was a little bit of magic there, fooled everyone, a little bit of misdirection and a sense of illusion. But Kyle, I'd say a great team effort from Sublime, absolutely.
Yeah.
Some great individual highlights as well. But you can see Kyle really hungry around it, marshalled the troops. You called it, lulled kind of Mammoth onto that open side. But just a vicious pivot. Oh, you love to see it. You love to see it.
And so credit to Mammoth. They've forced every single team to beat them with their best ultimate play. Like that, we saw the game early on. It was a very, very back and forth, but it forced Sublime to play their absolute best ultimate to beat them. And I think that's been the theme for them this weekend. So Sublime take their first win. They keep their championship hopes alive. Mammoth, they've got Manly this afternoon. Maybe some funky things can happen with the results, but you never want to leave things up to chance at the national championships. As soon as it's out of your hands and out of your control, not much you can do about it. So,
yeah, they've just got to focus on what they can control. You're right, they do need the bracket gods, as they say, to smile on them. But what they can control is trying to regroup after Manly. There are positives I'd take out of it. If I was Mammoth, they kind of didn't roll over. They were bidding on the mark on that last point. But they've got to regroup now and see if they can pull something out of the bag against Manly.
And there'll be 2 more rounds of pool play happening later today. So the next game will be at 1:20 p.m. Adelaide time, which is 1 hour from now, pretty much bang on. So you can join us back on ULTI.TV for that. But don't forget, we have a second field here, Andrew. 2 live games every time slot. So just head to patreon.com/ULTI.TV to become a supporter of live-streamed Ultimate, or you can upgrade your YouTube subscription for the Australian Ultimate Championships package. Bump your tier up, get 2 games to choose from that you can watch now or on demand. Simon Talbot here, Andrew Moroney, last thoughts.
Game's not over, tournament's not over for either of these teams. I'd say you've just got to grind your way through. It's going to start becoming a bit of a battle of fatigue, but you're here to play Frisbee, play with your mates. They've got to keep their heads up. As you said, Simon, coming up at the 1:20 time slot, we've got Zig Theory here versus Sugar Mags.
Ooh, what a game.
Behind the paywall, which we'd love for you to support, Sunder Slice versus the Wellington Wildcats.
2 absolutely belter games coming up on ULTI.TV. We'll catch you soon for more great Ultimate.
In the name of giving more, we're offering access to more games via our YouTube membership plan.
More action.
More of the best teams, more of the action, more ways to watch.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
ULTI.TV